Good evening. I greet you with the warmest Islamic greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum. May peace, blessings of God be with you all. I would like to begin by saying I was deeply saddened to hear of the sad passing of Ricky Hatton, MBE, last month. Ricky, the people's champion, professional boxer, promoter and trainer, was a positive inspiration to so many people, always giving back to the community where he grew up and continued to live. Only last December, he enthusiastically supported our shops, local campaigns, encouraging people to support Tameside town centres and businesses. My thoughts and condolences are with Ricky's family, friends, and all those in our community who are grieving. Ricky will be missed by so many and will always be remembered in Tameside with pride and affection. I also want to pay my respect following the horrific attack that took place last week outside the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue in Manchester on Yom Kippur Day. My thoughts are with all those affected, especially the families of those who have sadly died or been injured. We know this is a time of sorrow, and for our Jewish friends and neighbors, we stand with you in Tameside as you grieve and offer our full support and love. Let us take 1 minute of silence to remember them. Hold a memory, a thought, or a prayer in your heart. We begin now. So can you all stand, please? I would like to extend, please be seated. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to Aldin from the Youth Council. Thank you for joining us. It is a real pleasure to have you with us today. Over the last few months, I've attended lots of special engagements in Tameside. These are included visiting some of our local primary schools and seeing the amazing artworks the children are doing across the borough. I also had the privilege of welcoming some students from the Great Academy Ashton into the parlour, following wonderful fundraising challenges. 9 students took part in the expedition to Kenya this year. They all worked so hard, developing a range of environmental skills. I had the honor of attending some local fundraisers, including Ambitions, a Macmillan Coffee, and St. Peter's Culture Day, all in aid of very good causes and supporting the local diverse community. Another highlight was that I had the honor of visiting a care home in our borough to celebrate 3 of our residents' special milestones birthday, reaching the remarkable age of 100, 103, and 104. I have had the pleasure of attending some of the borough's most treasured events, such as the Mela event, Denton Carnival, Tameside Festival, Mottram Show, Baton of Hope, and Tameside Police Annual Award Ceremony, and the Royal British region, annual church services. It is true humbling to see so many people all coming together in our community. I continue to look forward to the rest of my mayoral year and the continued opportunities to attend even more special events taking place across the borough. Thank you. I now hand over to the Chair of the Council Business, Councillor Joe Kitchen.
Members, just please stand.
Just a little message from me, or not so little, as I should say. I would like to remind everybody at this meeting that it will be as successful as positive contributions of its members. Meetings are for the benefit of all, and no one person has a right to dominate or disrupt. People should be addressed courteously, respectfully, and should feel comfortable enough to make their contributions. Whilst as the Chair, I am ultimately responsible for managing the meeting, it is everybody's responsibility to make the meeting as smooth as possible for the good of all. My role is to ensure that the business is completed and I manage contributions, keep contributors from repeating themselves, focus on the business in hand and ensure a few individuals do not monopolise the time or the disruptive behaviour. This will ensure that equality, courtesy and respect are maintained. Everybody should be aware of other people's rights to be treated with courtesy and respect. Nobody should feel bullied or insulted or be verbally attacked by another member. Should one member disagree with another, then there is an appropriate and courteous way to disagree. Those wishing to speak should signal their intention to the Chair and wait to be invited to speak. Before speaking, any member should construct the points to be made and stick to them, speaking as short as time as possible without the repetition, whilst using clear, acceptable, non-defamatory language. There is a maximum time period to raise a question or make a point, but I am authorised on the Constitution to stop debate if it veers off the topic or seeks to be defamatory or insulting or raise matters that are not the preview of this Council. That includes raising issues about criminal matters, safeguarding of individuals or complaints or allegations against other members. They are statutory processes to manage such matters for the protection of all of us. This is not Parliament, so there is no parliamentary privilege or protection to say what you like without impunity. I look forward to a positive meeting. Following last meeting of the Council, we have taken some steps to improve the sound at the Council meeting. I hope you can hear it as well as I can, but it's echoing, and thank God I haven't got my hearing aids in. God knows what would happen to me then. Firstly, we are trialling, as I said, new improved speakers. Also, I'm agreeing that members can speak sitting down so they are nearer to the microphone if they wish. I encourage members, whether sitting or standing, to speak towards the microphone and avoiding paper or tablets between you and the microphone. There are other possible steps we can take for future meetings if this doesn't resolve the sounding issue. Because at the last meeting, there was a lot of people who could not hear what was going on and felt disenfranchised from the meeting. So hopefully that will not happen. Agenda item 2 is the actual minutes of the meeting. But I asked that moved and seconded. So, thank you. Any questions or comments? Are you happy for me to sign them, I should say, is the correct record? Thank you. We'll now go to agenda item 3, declarations of interest. Has anybody got any? There is a form for you to, in front of you, to fill in if you so wish. Councillor Taylor. Right. Do you want to just say, please? Could you speak into speaker, Councillor Taylor? You can.
So I have filled the form minutes to do with
Homelessness.
the last board meeting.
Yeah. Yes, you're a volunteer there, not a paid employee. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Agenda item, the big conversation. I received one question from Stephen Girard as follows. Well, please give me time to read it. Given the Council's responsibility for school meal provision and its stated commitments to public health, sustainability and transparency, could the Council please provide full clarity on the following interconnected matters relating to food served in Tameside schools? 1. Food traceability and composition. Can the Council confirm the current level of traceability in school catering supply chains? Specifically, can we trace not only where all food products are sourced from, including country of origin, but also what is in them in terms of unprocessed ingredients versus fresh minerally processed produce? Are suppliers required to disclose full ingredient data, including additives, artificial sugars, flavourings and emulsionizers, I'm sure how to pronounce that word, sorry, often found in highly processed foods? 2. Sustainability and emissions accountability. When assessing the carbon footprint of school food procurement, what database and emission factors does the Council rely on, and can it confirm whether these include Scope 3 agricultural emissions, processing, transportation and packaging? Given independent research has highlighted in constituents in national emissions reporting, what steps is the Council taking to verify the accuracy and completeness of the environmental data it uses to make procurement decisions? How is biodiversity impact assessed within the Council's food sourcing policies, for example, regarding microculture, farming, pesticides, use or deforestation-linked imports? 3. Education and long-term public health. Beyond serving food, what is the Council going to do to educate pupils in practical food literacy, including how to identify highly processed foods, understand ingredients lists, cook from scratch, make healthy purchasing decisions, and critically assess marketing claims? Does the Council recognise that without such education, children remain vulnerable to diets dominated by ultra-processed, nutritionally poor products with long-term consequence for both health and public spending? In summary, will the Council commit to publishing a full breakdown of food sourcing, processing levels, environmental impact data and educational provision relating to school meals, and outline how it intends to improve transparency, sustainability and health outcomes going forward? Can I now ask Councillor Sharif if you could respond to that question, please?
Thank you, Chair. This is an important issue. This is louder than usual. I'll tone it down. This is an important issue. What we consume does have an effect on our bodies. As a council, we support our residents and families to access healthy food. Being of a healthy weight is crucial to long-term health, particularly for our children. This is why we have specific strategies and action plans around food and healthy weight across Tameside. And while, yes, it remains a challenge, particularly in the current fast-paced life that we all have, everything at the fingertips, we have very recently seen slight reductions in the rate of overweight and obese children in Tameside. We do have concerns as a nation, and lots needs to be done locally. So I'm working with our Health and Scrutiny panel, who are conducting an in-depth review of this. The question around procurement, I need to make it clear that the responsibility of procurement and providing food in our schools, in fact, lies with each individual governing body, and it's not something the council is directly responsible for. However, we do work positively with our schools to support them to embed a good food culture. A key part of this support is our local children's nutrition team, which is funded by Public Health, which works with children's, our families, and our early year settings to help have healthy habits from an early age. This work includes helping our schools follow national guidance and also delivering the Food for Life and the Cook for Life programs, which includes nutrition education and ensuring healthy eating policies are in place. We are providing our community cooking skills at schools, where we have the parents learning from scratch with raw ingredients, the vegetables, the fresh stuff, so that they can be equipped to provide healthier meals at home. And that's where it starts. As a mum of 4, myself with a busy life, I know too well how easy it is to not cook. But as parents, we must. And as a council, we are at hand, helping our schools and our families. Our approach to supporting residents to be healthy weight is much wider than the work with our schools. Improving the availability of high-quality, healthy food in Tameside, increasing local food skills and knowledge, as I've described, and reducing food poverty and food waste are all our priorities as part of many of our strategies to tackle these challenges. There are a range of other services we have in place to healthy food and healthy weight, including our wonderful health visitors, our school nurses supporting infant feeding, and may I add, we've seen the best rate of women taking up breastfeeding in Tameside, our environmental services team, ensuring our businesses comply with food promotion regulations, and ensuring our planning policy supports healthy food environments. We are confident in the broad range of actions we are taking to tackle issues like obesity for our residents and to improve the health outcomes, but we are aware there are many challenges ahead and more work needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sherry. I'm going to move to agenda item 5. I'm just going to repeat a little statement again to hopefully make it clear that the 3 leaders I've met with the 3 leaders following the last council meeting. Following the last council meeting, I met with the group leaders to consider the operation of the council and in particular the lessons from the first executive member update, which didn't go as we hoped. We agreed that the opposition spokesperson for each portfolio would be called first, providing they have submitted their question in writing 3 clear days before the meeting. If no written question is submitted by the opposition spokesman, other questions submitted in writing will be asked first, followed by questions raised without notice. It is also agreed that the leader of the independent group will be able to have 1 priority after opposition spokesperson on 1 question which can be asked of any portfolio holder. Again, if this is the only question is submitted in writing by the deadline. To remind members, Council agreed that they would be a maximum 10 minutes per portfolio, 3 minutes up to for the executive members update and 7 minutes for questions. To allow members to have the opportunity to contribute to discussions, each member will be allowed to ask one question of each portfolio holder if time allows, within the 7 minutes allocated for questions on each portfolios. A member can ask an additional question when all other members who wish to ask this question have done so. Questions without prior warning are restricted to those matters referred to in the executive member's written submission. Finally, firstly, I invite the executive leader to give a general update as leader of the council, and then to provide an update on her portfolio as the executive leader, and then I'll be asking Councillor Dickinson if she wishes to ask questions on that. Okay. Leader.
Thank you. Members and officers of the Council, before I begin today, I want to, as did the Mayor, reflect our thoughts and prayers with the families and loved ones of all those affected by the horrific terrorist attack in Crumpsall last Thursday morning. This was an appalling act of violence that targeted innocent people at worship. An attack not just on one community, but on all of us and the values that we hold dear. We stand in absolute solidarity with Manchester's Jewish community and with every community that now feels fear or grief in the wake of this atrocity. We will not let hatred divide us. Together with our partners, we will ensure support, security and care for all who need it. In moments like this, our strength lies in our unity. Tameside stands shoulder to shoulder with the people of Crumpsall. I also want to pay respects to one of Tameside's finest. One of Tameside's finest sons, Ricky Hatton, who passed away sadly last month. His birthday was yesterday and his funeral takes place on Friday. Despite a career that took him to every corner of the globe, and made him one of the most recognisable faces in sport, Ricky never forgot his roots and continued to make his home here in Tameside until his death. He was both a world champion and a local champion, an inspiration to countless people inside and outside the sport of boxing. His legacy of determination, humility, and community spirit will remain in the hearts of all that knew him, and certainly, none least, those in Hyde. I know he will be sorely missed. As we approach the end of 2025, this is the right moment to take stock of what has been achieved, not by one person, but by all of us. When I became executive leader almost a year ago, I heard loud and clear the frustrations, hopes and concerns of many residents. That's why, from day one, I pledged that our mission would be simple but profound: to listen, to act and to deliver. Deliver improvement that people can see with their own eyes and feel in their own pockets. A large part of that promise has been to ensure that Tameside Council itself is fit for the 21st century, a modern, responsive organisation with a clear purpose and strong foundations. Investing in our infrastructure has been integral for us to ensure that we can deliver that. An important part of that work has been taking a hard look at where we were as an organisation. As I said last year, no leader can stand alone, and no one person has all the answers. But I now believe that we have in place the building blocks and collective leadership necessary to make Tameside Council fit for the 21st century. This includes the appointment of a new Chief Executive, Emma Alexander, with a clear and impressive track record in delivering sustained improvement in a number of councils in Greater Manchester and the north of England. I also want to pay tribute to Harry Catterall. This is his last full council meeting as interim chief exec. I know he's worked tirelessly in that role and has guided us through an important period of transition. His diligence and experience have left a lasting mark on this authority, and I'm very grateful. Our strengthened senior leadership team now includes Janet Witowski, Director of Legal and Democratic Services, Monitoring Officer, Amy Foots, Assistant Director for Policy, Strategy and Change, and in Children's Services, new leadership with Jill Colbert and under Jill, with Victoria Sattler and Elaine Bentley driving forward stability and transformation, including the significant reduction in agency staff. We have also overhauled scrutiny processes to ensure faster decision-making while preserving the democratic accountability that our residents rightly expect. This is what modern leadership looks like: clear in direction, collective in spirit, and confident in delivery. Our progress has been strengthened through collaboration between councillors, officers, residents, and our partners in public, private, and voluntary sectors. One of the partnerships I'm most excited about is the launch of Train Tameside 500, a bold and ambitious partnership between the council and Tameside College to deliver 500 new apprenticeships between now and July 2027. This is more than a number. It's about creating pathways into employment for our young people, giving them the opportunity to learn, earn and build confidence, skills and a career. My colleague, Councillor Roderick, will speak further about the programme later on in this meeting, but for the moment, I am asking everyone here, as well as employers, educators and community leaders, to throw their weight behind Tameside 500 and help us train and develop the next generation of workers. One of the most significant developments this year has been the creation of the Mayoral Development Corporation, covering Ashton-under-Lyne and Staley Bridge. This partnership will attract new investment, accelerate regeneration and integrate the Staley Bridge to Manchester Victoria line into the B network, making Tameside a national pioneer of transport-led regeneration. The government's announcement of Pride in Place investment represents a vital opportunity to renew our towns and communities, helping people feel genuine pride in where they live, work and raise their families. For us here in Tameside, and particularly in Hattersley, this funding marks a major step forward, backed by a £20 million investment. Pride in Place will allow us to accelerate regeneration, deliver new and affordable homes, revitalise public spaces and create opportunities that strengthen the hearts of our community. This is about more than physical improvements. It's about restoring confidence and ambition. It's about ensuring that every resident, young and old, can look around their neighbourhood and see the difference that real investment and collaboration can make. We've already seen significant investment in Hattersley with the delivery of the new Onward housing offer and the fantastic new extra care facility, Birchley. I had the honour of visiting the facility just a few weeks ago. Birchley offers 91 apartments for semi-independent living. These are high-quality apartments, offering 24/7 access to support. Very much had a hotel-type vibe. It was really, really lovely. And I had the pleasure of speaking to some of the residents there. But one will stay etched in my mind. A gentleman who is an ex-army veteran very kindly showed me around his lovely apartment and told me all about how Birchley was his home. He told me about some of the struggles he'd had when he left the service and how he'd lost hope. He said now he has lots of friends, his neighbours are more like family for him, and he looks forward to the social nights that Birchley put on. I share this with the Chamber today because this is the difference this council can make. This is the difference Pride in Place investment in Hattersley can have, changing lives one at a time by planning today for tomorrow. Building a better Tameside that takes care of our people. Our town centres are the beating hearts of our borough, places of pride, local business and community. As well as the great things happening in Hattersley, we have further great news for our other towns. Droylsden's master plan is now in motion, with a preferred developer appointed to deliver affordable housing and high-quality public spaces on council-owned sites. Ashton, Stalybridge and Hyde are witnessing major restorations of their historic town and civic halls, transforming them into modern community hubs that respect our industrial heritage. Mosley now proudly hosts its new artisan market. I've been along myself with my family and it was fabulous. And that joins events like the Lantern Parade, Armed Forces Day and the much-loved Stalybridge Street Fest in showcasing our local talent and enterprise. Each of these projects tells a single story. Tameside is on the rise again. We are leading a programme of digital investment and development to modernise the way the council delivers its services, providing more efficient and responsive services, better meeting our residents' needs, which is the main thing. We have now rolled out new technology which supports our frontline practitioners, summarising and providing detailed meeting write-ups. We've piloted the software in our neighbourhoods and occupational therapy teams, where staff reported saying nearly 5 hours of admin time per week has been saved, which means more people seen more often and supported to live well. We are seeing positive developments in our workforce with huge strides being made in internal communications and staff engagement. The council has delivered a workforce survey, held a staff conference and introduced employee forums and staff networks, which officers at all levels have fed back is creating more open, collaborative and positive environment, enabling people to deliver effectively in their roles. But we know that true prosperity begins with a home. Our housing strategy sets out a clear and ambitious path, including a 20% increase in social and affordable housing, equivalent to 600 new homes over the next 5 years. But while we plan for the future, we are also acting now. Our new empty homes policy will also already has identified 150 properties that will be refurbished and brought back into local use for local residents. Through the £2.2 million Housing Support Fund, we are providing much needed support to some of our most vulnerable residents, providing food, energy and essential support, advice and guidance. Since April this year, we have paid 118,000 over 661 applications. This includes 21 pensioner households, 296 households with children, and 101 households with a disabled person receiving more support because of this council. As part of the Housing Support Fund and Better Care Fund, we are currently delivering £200,000 worth of community winter support grants, providing financial assistance to community groups and organisations to support Tameside residents to eat well, stay warm and remain healthy through winter. We've also introduced tougher controls on houses in multiple occupation, HMOs, which means that all HMOs will require permission through planning oversight, ensuring that communities have a voice and that residents are protected from exploitation by rogue landlords. Over the past year, we've not just promised change, we've delivered it. 2 hours of free parking in all our car parks Monday to Saturday before 6 p.m, making Tameside one of the most affordable and accessible destinations in Greater Manchester. This initiative has already increased footfall and boosted trade, recognised nationally through the Federation of Small Businesses Business Buddy Award. A £2 million investment to replace 22 refuse collection vehicles, improving efficiency and environmental performance. An expansion of SEND provision, creating 133 new school places across maintained and academy schools for children aged 5 to 16. Each of these actions makes a tangible difference to everyday life, the kind of progress people can measure not in headlines, but in their homes, high streets and communities. As we look to the future, our mission remains unchanged, to make Tameside a place of opportunity, fairness and pride. We are building a council that listens, a community that thrives, and a borough that stands ready to meet the challenges of tomorrow. Together, we have not just laid the groundwork for a better Tameside. We've begun to build it. Thank you, Chair. If I can now move on to my portfolio update. I recognise I have spoken quite a lot.
It's quite all right. The 3 minute now applies to you, Leader.
Thank you.
Same as everybody else.
So,
I am, Councillor Holland, I'm well aware that 2 people have indicated to speak. I said at the beginning, the Chair will call those that have indicated to speak at the appropriate time. It is not the appropriate time. We have an agenda in front of us, so therefore we can't. I'm well aware, Councillor Holland, you sorry? I did. I did, and there's a form. Just one second, Councillor Holland. I did ask. Councillor Taylor indicated he's got one. There is a form in front of you to be filled in that could also say that. If it's about a declaration of interest, if you want to make it now, I'll allow you at this stage to do so.
On the declaration of interest, I am making known that I am no longer a member of the Labour group.
Councillor Holland.
Don't talk. I'm upset about this. Don't talk.
Councillor Holland.
But I am saying...
Councillor Holland, could you just let me speak for a minute, please?
Right.
That's not a declaration of interest.
It is
If-
my
if-
interest. It's my
If
interest.
you wish, if any person wishes not to belong to the group they were elected to, there is a set process that has
I'm
to
going
be carried
through the
out.
process, and I'm announcing
it has to be
publicly
done
that I am
in
no
writing.
longer a member of the
It
Labour Party.
has to be done
I am a socialist.
in writing.
I am a
So
socialist.
am I, Councillor
and I am
Holland.
sick and tired
You
of
have
seeing
to do
what's
it in writing. So I'm now going to adjourn the meeting for 5 minutes. You may start your 3 minutes now.
There we go, thank you. I wanted to take the opportunity today to update members with regards to my portfolio and the current activity that we've seen with regards to my commitment to engage with communities differently and work a bit differently. And we've been listening to residents, and obviously that's not just a one-off exercise, it's an ongoing conversation. Since the end of last month, myself and my Cabinet colleagues have been taking part in a number of Cabinet in the Community events across Tameside. These events have given residents the opportunity to meet senior councillors, the decision makers and local ward members. We had one yesterday evening in Hyde, which was very well attended, and we captured lots of residents' views around Hyde. Specifically, we've also had one in Ashton and one in Audenshaw, but they are operating across all 9 of our towns. The events so far have been successful and well attended, and feedback from these events, which are due to continue until the end of October, will inform our new borough plan, which is a strategy that will also inform our corporate plan, and it will set the vision for Tameside that brings us together as a council, as residents and businesses and wider partners through community groups and other partnership working. I think it's important that we reflect on our engagement mechanisms, and one of the questions that we've been speaking to residents about is, how do you talk to us currently? How would you like to talk to us? So I just wanted to update the Chamber in terms of building that open, transparent conversation on a town-by-town basis to really capture the feeling that our residents have got and build back some of that pride in place and community voice. We need to strengthen that. So there will be further work in terms of engagement that we will update Chamber with once the Cabinet and community sessions have commenced, and we look at further engagement. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I should have said these portfolios will be found on page 8 of the report. I'm now going to, there is no written questions to the leader. I'm now going to ask the main leader. wish to ask the Leader any questions on the portfolio? Yeah.
Personal tribute to Harry Catterall as the Chief Exec. Since Harry's been here, we've had meetings monthly. I've talked, he's listened and he's acted. And nobody else has ever done that. So thank you, Harry. Right. My question is on clarity, because when we had a group meeting, we went through the agenda and the reports of the cabinets are all written out, and people decided then if they were asking questions. There was no report for the leader, so I didn't put a question in.
Yeah.
So, and this isn't being rude to you, Councillor Rose, is the leader going to have a written report in, or is it always going to be kind of off the cuff? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think where the confusion lied, Councillor Dickinson, is there was two agendas. This is the amended one. You might have the old copy, but it is on page 8. It is on page 8. I'm now having tech problems myself. My laptop has yet gone off again. So, can somebody go up and sort it, please? It's not helpful at all in managing this. I'm aware, I can see one, I might have to do this the old-fashioned way. Councillor Billington, is your question to the Leader on the Leader's portfolio as set out? Yeah, you may continue.
It's on the point on Cabinet in the community. So the Leader is pushing Cabinet in the community, and she stated scrutiny coordination that Cabinet in the community would be replacing neighbourhood forums. Now, we had an update as councillors which said that the next neighbourhood forum would be cancelled. Now, I do have to commend the Leader on her speed on doing this, but it says that the following meeting will go ahead. Now, chairs of neighbourhood forums are paid an allowance of £10,526 and their deputies £3,509 for just 4 meetings a year. The combined allowances cost taxpayers £56,140. So my question to the Leader is, does the Leader think neighbourhood forums are value for money for residents, and will she commit to scrapping them today? And number 2, can the Leader provide a deadline for district assemblies being implemented? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Billington. Do you wish to answer?
There we go. Thank you, Chair. I didn't say that cabinet in the community meetings would be a replacement for neighbourhood forums. That would be very presumptuous of me. The purpose of Cabinet in the community is to speak to our residents to see how they would like to engage. So rather than dictate that, Cabinet in the community is trying to look at all mechanisms of engagement. Specifically with regards to neighbourhood forums, we're working towards a strategy of a new model, but again, we can't preempt the determinations of what communities say that they want. So, as it stands currently, they are one of our main engagement arms that are currently in place, calendared for the year, and will remain so, both from the back of Cabinet in the community sessions and the information that we receive through from residents. We will work with members to look at how we develop potentially a new strategy of engagement. And I don't know, because I don't have a crystal ball at this time, what that will look like. It won't be the district assemblies, because the district assemblies were of their era, and again, that would be us determining what the public want. So I will absolutely update this chamber. But what's been apparent to me as part of the Cabinet and community sessions is that members of the community do want to engage, that we need to bring back a future of positive connections for Tameside residents, that it needs to be broader. We've been really fortunate with the Cabinet and the community sessions that we've had, partners around the table, And members of the public are speaking to those partners. So police, social housing providers, health partners. We need to look overarchingly at how we communicate and how we best support. As I said in my speech, there are lots of things that we're doing at the moment to support our community as a council, and we want to continue to deliver that, but we also need to hear from our community what support looks like for them in our 9 distinct towns, and not determine that ourselves based on a hunch or a bit of instinct. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Nobody else, I'm aware, has indicated to speak on this item. I'm now going to ask Councillor McLaren to introduce this. Please, you have up to 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. This will be short and brief. This is Tameside Homes for Tameside people. That's our strategy. HMOs from the 2nd of October, all HMOs of any size in any part of Tameside will have to obtain planning consent, which will bring back much needed control to our residents. Policy number 2, the Homelessness and Rough Sleeping Strategy. The strategy has been formally approved and is now live, and with it a live list of actions. I will be chairing the Homelessness Reduction Board to ensure that all actions will be swiftly carried out and completed. Also, my role will be to clear system and procedural blockages which may impede progress. This will now inform our draft housing strategy, which is currently work in progress. Policy number 3, I'm calling it the Wasted Homes Policy. This is based on the Wigan MBC model, which is highly successful, but it's going to be tailored to suit Tameside. A team is currently being recruited to target the owners of private properties to swiftly bring them back into use for temporary accommodation, which will be controlled by the council and will be run by our registered providers. Council staff will work closely with our housing benefit colleagues to target owners using housing benefit regulations and legislation to encourage engagement from owners. As Deputy Leader, I have set a target of 150 houses to be brought back into use within the next calendar year, thereby providing over 500 Tameside residents with warm, safe and secure houses. I've also directed the team to identify any empty commercial properties that can be converted into homes. Final policy, homes for temporary accommodation. Due to the inherited housing crisis, the demand for temporary accommodation has increased exponentially. Not only the need for more homes, but the financial burden on all councils. To that end, we're using the Manchester City Council model, but again tailoring it to suit Tameside. We'll be working with a specialist property acquisition company to initially and swiftly bring forward 50 properties to provide better homes for those in temporary accommodation, again within the next calendar year. If successful, this will increase to 250 properties. They will be acquired on a lease basis and then will revert back as a council asset. The leasing model will allow flexibility, which means the properties will fall into the LHA rates, so no rental costs will be borne by the council. Therefore, this new innovative approach will not only provide warmer, safer and more secure homes for up to 750 Tameside residents, but will produce savings for the council. I said it at the start and I'll say it again. This leadership is pulling every lever to provide Tameside homes for Tameside people. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no written questions for you, Councillor McLaren, so I'm taking them from the floor. Councillor Billington.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question. HMOs wasn't part of the update. It's on Exec Cabinet. So can I ask that now or should I wait till Exec Cabinet?
I prefer if you wait, please.
Yeah,
to
that's
Exec
fine.
Cabinet. You can bring it up then.
I've got a question on the portfolio instead. So there is pressure on local housing as there's this perverse effect where Serco and the government are competing against local residents for housing. And it's something that I have outlined in the past. So will the Deputy Leader confirm that this new housing will be for Tameside residents?
it's going to be for Tameside residents. But what I would supplement that with is the devil's in the detail, and I'm not going to wang on for 7 minutes, so don't worry. What I would say is, what's crucial, I'll look forward to your question on HMOs to clarify it, is, but I'll just throw this point in. Because every single HMO throughout any part of Tameside of any size will now need planning consent, that will mean we as a council will know whether Serco or anyone like Serco is applying for an HMO. That's never happened before, and that's why we're bringing back control for the residents, but we're bringing control for the council to have a database to understand who is wanting to have any kind of housing in Tameside. But more importantly, if these are bad actors and if these are people with reputation, trust me, this is going to be factored in, because we want good landlords to provide good, decent houses, safe, warm and secure. We do not want bad landlords providing squalor for people to live in, and then the awful impacts that then roll out as a result of that to our neighbours. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Colleen Khan.
Regarding the HMOs now, and then can I ask a question later on, is it? Can I just...
No, you can ask it under the Executive Cabinet minutes. I'm not giving you 2 bites of the cherry,
okay,
Councillor,
that's fine.
because other people are vindicated to speak,
that's
and we've
fine.
only got 7 minutes. Thank you.
No.
Councillor Hotwood.
Thank you. Councillor McLaren, you're saying there that it's great that you provide an extra housing for people and it's much needed. Could you just tell me if there's any plans to step in to help some of the residents that have bought their houses in Hattersley that are faced with exorbitant ground maintenance fee charges by Onward Homes? If you could intervene in some way, that would be very helpful.
Sorry, yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Chadwick. I've been... sorry, sorry.
He's got more hair, I've got more hair than him.
Apologies, Councillor Hotwood. I'm a little bit Mutt and Jeff, sorry. Anyway, Councillor Hotwood, I beg your pardon. I've been absolutely made aware of this by Councillor Owen as a major problem with Onward Homes, who I meet. So I will promise I will take this up with them. I know that Councillor Owen has been really on my case, quite rightly, to do this. The costs to me seem excessive, but I'm not running Onward Homes. But I do give you a pledge that I will take that up. I will get an answer for you, and I'm happy because we're catching up, I think, on the 18th of this month. And that perhaps we could put that on the agenda, and I'll give you a full answer when we meet.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McLaren. Nobody else is speaking. I think we're almost up in time anyway on that one. So now going on to the next one, portfolio, is Councillor Sharif. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Cardiovascular disease affects many in Tameside, and we have higher rates than other areas. It is one of our biggest killers, to be blunt. It is affecting people earlier than ever, and lifestyle is a big part of that. So here at the Council and as Health Lead, we have stepped up, and prevention is key. Our Be Well team has been working across Tameside to deliver additional health checks in local workplaces, conducting blood pressure checks, diabetes checks, stop smoking, with a particular focus on those in manual and caring professions who may be at higher risk. As part of this pilot project, I'm proud to say we have had 1,362 health checks, which were delivered in 56 workplaces, identifying people who could benefit from early support and intervention, and that's key. Moving on to our month of hope and our suicide prevention. We are currently in the month of hope. Mental Health Day is on the 10th of October. When someone dies by suicide, the impact amongst family and friends can be devastating and widespread, affecting many people across the community. Sadly, we lost 26 people to suicide in 2024, 22 in 2023, 25 in 22, and 12 in 21. As you can see, it's going up each year slightly, although it still remains low across Greater Manchester. We at the Council have supported... Can you hear me? Yeah. We've supported a series of events across Tameside to raise awareness, to promote the support available. I recently went out to Hyde, Andy's Man Club, for a fantastic opening. They wish to open another one in Hyde, and they really showed the importance of that need. It was packed. In public health, we have our suicide prevention strategy. Just recently, I presented this to the Health and Wellbeing Board. We looked at our first year, we looked at our actions. We are working very closely with our partners, providing training to our communities in high-risk locations, raising awareness. We also supported the amazing Anthony Seddon Fund, hosting the Baton of Hope last month, which I joined and many other councillors in this room. The courage showed by each participant was truly humbling, and we all shared the message of hope and unity. Youth vaping, we are working towards our ambition of a smoke-free generation. We have worked with over 150 young people and stakeholders to develop the new Keep Your Cool and Ditch the Vape campaign. We have to do something. This speaks to young people to promote the risk and supports available to them, as well as providing our professionals, volunteers, parents and carers with the resources to talk confidently.
Councillor, your 3 minutes are up. I'm going to have to stop you there.
Thank you.
Can I ask if anybody there, sorry, as far as I'm aware, there are no written questions, so I'm now going to take it from the floor. Anybody wish to speak? Yeah, just 1 second. I'll have to do it the old-fashioned way. I feel like throwing this in the bin. Sorry. Councillor Chadwick, is it self-syndicated?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's not really a question, it's just basically I just want to echo Councillor Sharif and send a message to any man out there struggling. There are groups out there such as the Anthony Seddon Fund, Mentel and Andy's Man Club. And remember, if you are struggling, you're not alone. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Chadwick. Councillor Josky.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to rise in support of youth vaping campaign that we have just launched. I lost my very, very dear friend Wasim a few years ago because of the smoking and the aftermath, the impact. So it's very, very important to me. My question to the Councillor Sharif is, what steps are we taking to engage youth and schools into this particular campaign? And are we seeing any evidence of behavior change amongst the young people and youth of Tameside? Thank you.
Thank you. Respond, please.
Up in it, and we provide him with the help that's needed. This campaign, Ditch Your Vape campaign, is just launched in September. We are working very closely with our young people. It's too early to look at the assessment of that, but we will be keeping a very close eye on it. I did also want to say that our enforcement is on top of vaping. Recently in Staley Bridge, under Councillor Boyle, we've had a great result with enforcing those illicit vaping, and it's been great for our trading standards. But we will ensure that we continue to work with our young people who have actually developed this and roll it across some of our schools and provide an evaluation of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anybody else indicate to speak? Because mine's not working. No? Okay. Thank you. I shall now go on to the next one and ask Councillor Taylor to introduce this report, please.
Items I'm going to raise tonight. The first one has actually been raised by Councillor Wills. She talked about her visit home. It was great that he was there with other people. Birchley Park in Attersley, what a fabulous development that is, not just the Birchley part, but the houses around it. Extremely impressive. 55 and overs go into the scheme. It's all part of the Attersley regeneration, with lots of agencies working in partnership. But I raise this because not only have we done this, we've had other schemes that we are bringing forward in Tameside, 2 of them in Staler Bridge, Corporation Street and Grosvenor Street. The 3 of them are providing fantastic facilities for people who are disabled in Tameside. And it's something that we do. And as it happens, last night when we was in Hyde, Councillor Holmer brought me this gentleman over who told me he was a developer and he would like to get involved with us and have more of these schemes. Well, thank you very much. So I shook his hand and asked him for his details and asked him to send them in to us. And hopefully the officers will deal with that. So that was a real good end to that meeting last night. The other item I'm bringing to your attention is a group of officers that we have in adult social care. The Early Support Advice Hub is in Ashton. It's a team of people that we have. What happens now, because we've got a huge volume of people coming in seeking social care. Now, to deal with that, we've put this team together around about February this year. So when somebody knocks on the door and they want a service, we have this team that we've set up with lots of skills in it. So we assess people. And some people don't actually get a service because they don't need it. So we move them on to somewhere else. Some people want a lot of service and we provide them with that service. But just a little mention of 2 people who are in that team. One is a person who now deals with direct payments. Those are people who want to take an amount of cash that it costs for that care and they provide their own staff to do that. And direct payments, the number of people using direct payments is actually rising every single week. And the other one is an occupational therapist. When myself and Councillor visited, this person was an apprentice. He's now no longer an apprentice. He's now an OT qualified. He's one of our own. And there will be more of one of our own in those services. Thank you.
Thank you. My IT has gone down yet again. I know Councillor Owen wishes to speak, followed by Councillor Sweeton, and then I'll take any others after that. Councillor Owen.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say, yeah, I'm really proud to represent the area where Birchley Park is. It's a fantastic facility. It's really lovely to see some of the residents living there who I previously have tried to help to move into other accommodation that wasn't fit for their needs. This is so appropriate, and I would invite any of you to come along and have a look at it. And, you know, the more we can have, the better. Thank you.
Councillor Sweeton, you take that.
I'm glad that Councillor Taylor actually brought in other developments that have been constructed and opened within the borough. So I've got 2 questions for Councillor Taylor. And it's not often I call you Councillor Taylor, is it, John? However...
First time.
First question is, we've had our 2nd development completed in Staler Bridge on Grosvenor Street. We had a fantastic opportunity to look around the old police station site and look at those facilities, and we're proudly taken around by a couple of the residents. Are we going to be afforded the same opportunity for this new development? Please, I'd really like that. It's in my ward. And secondly, it got off to a pretty difficult start because it is a development for supported housing for our residents, but there was indications that it wasn't, and that caused us problems. I went down several times to make sure everything was okay. Can you assure everybody here today that the residents in there are completely safe? Thank you.
Councillor Taylor, will you answer those 2, please?
Yeah, Councillor Owen first. Clearly, Councillor Owen is a ward councillor. She was there on the opening day, and what she's telling you about is this fabulous facility. I mean, I didn't know till I went up there. They've actually got a bistro in there, and they've got an hair salon in there. So it's not just about where somebody lives. There's quite a lot of facilities up there, but it was absolutely brilliant, and well done to those ward councillors who've actually made that happen, and other developments up in Hattersley. On the question from Councillor Dave Sweeten, and I think that's the first time I've called him Councillor Sweeten as well, so Grosvenor, the development on Grosvenor. I received a call from a resident in the development across the road called Summers Quays, who told me there was an individual who I don't know was actually going around Staler Bridge with a mobile phone, identifying buildings and making the claim that asylum seekers were living in these properties. Sadly, this was one of them. And there was another one that we're associated with further down the road. This person contacted me because he was concerned about what was going on and what this person was doing. And what this person was doing, whether he intended to do this, and I suspect he did, was trying to cause some sort of a protest outside this property for those people who are inside. What that did was cause distress to the people who live there and the people who work there. And we as a council had to put resources into one of those properties to reassure those people, and that's your question, have you reassured those people who work there and live there? And those people who live there have got a mental illness. Their lives are not the best as it is. What they don't need is some idiot outside filming it and saying that certain people are in there. They don't need it in their lives, so we have put stuff in there. And in one of the other buildings, I can tell you now, I don't know the exact figures, but a substantial amount of money, it's thousands, has been spent to make these two resources safe. That's what that man did. I don't know who he is. I hope I never see him again in my life. And I hope that at some time he's actually arrested for what he did, because he was trying to cause a riot outside that building.
Thank you. We're going back to the old-fashioned way, so if you wish to speak, we will get a list. I've got one more question if anybody wants to at this stage. No, we'll move on to the next one. Thank you very much, Councillor Taylor. Next one is Councillor Theresa Smith.
In the first Commissioner's report, Andy Coldrick highlighted the number of agency workers engaged in children's social care. I'm pleased to share this evening that our number of agency staff has reduced from 183 in November 2024 to 103 at the end of this August. We also expect our numbers to reduce to 96 by the end of October. This equates to a reduction of 48%, almost halving the number of agency workers in 12 months. Some of our agency staff have worked incredibly hard and shown love and dedication to our children, young people and families, and I'm delighted a number have chosen to stay with us as permanent members of staff. To put this into a financial context, this means that our forecast annual cost have reduced from 15.2 million in November 2024 to 8.7 million in September 2025. Agency costs as a percentage of total staffing cost have reduced from 38% in 2024-25 to a forecast of 26% in 25-26. I'm also delighted to say that for the first time in many years, Children's Services now have a fully staffed permanent leadership team, and they are already making a difference to children, young people and families. And it's reassuring for our staff to know that we have leaders who are here to stay and help to drive our improvement journey forward and offer support and guidance and draw on their own professional expertise. And finally, our corporate parent board is making a difference for our cared for, experienced children and young people. Our panel consists of some elected members, some partners from health and our virtual school, our scrutiny chair and vice chair, and most importantly, our young people who are supported by our staff. Our young people chair part of our meetings and deliver a presentation about something that is personal to them. A recent presentation shared the mental health struggles some of our young people face, and the conversation that followed led to a children's and young people's mental health workshop. Many partners came along and shared information. Feedback is now being gathered from our children and young people so that this event can grow. It's so important to hear, but more important to action, the voice of our children and young people to ensure that we deliver what they want and need. Thank you, Chair.
Just in time then. Just in time. I have received a question on Councillor Smith's portfolio from Councillor Corbyn. Councillor Corbyn.
Thanks, Chair. First of all, I want to congratulate the service for reducing agency reliance. It has been a cost of pressure and to welcome the fact that there is now more permanently recruited members, which should bring much needed stability. But looking beyond numbers and costs, can you tell us what the actual impact has been on outcomes for children, particularly in relation to those in care, safeguarding and family support? Thank you.
Councillor Smith to respond, please.
Thank you, and thank you for your question, Councillor Colburn. I agree, like you, that the focus should never be about money, but it should also be about the real needs of our children and our families that we serve. But of course, we do have those financial constraints. We know through our previous inspections that in the past, we've not always met the needs of our children and families through timeliness and effective support. Thankfully, I believe that this is changing. We rely on our social workers for that support, and Tameside, like others, has had many challenges around recruitment. It's not new to us, it's something specifically throughout the North West and throughout the country, and the estimate at the moment is the North West needs approximately 1,000 more social workers. Tameside has relied too heavily in the past of agency staff, but now we can say that we're making great strides, as these figures have shown us. We also have our Social Work Academy, which is growing in strength, and it's great to think that we're growing our own workforce. We want the best for our children and families, and part of having the best for them is having consistency in their social workers so that they can build good relationships with them, and particularly for our young children so they don't have to keep on repeating their stories over and over again. In terms of family support, we're a council that's maintained good success around our early help, and it's underpinned by our council funds. And really, I'd once again like to take the opportunity to thank every member in this room for the support they give when we talk around budgets for children's services. The support has always been there for our children and families, regarding of your political group. And I think that says a lot about all of us in Tameside who really want to put our children first. Our Educare team provides essential support to families, especially those who are in immediate crisis, and they remain key to our wraparound service. We also have our children's hubs, our family hubs, where great support can be accessed, particularly with other agencies as well, with our partners, like health. There's lots of parent support groups. And I really hope to see at our next inspection that we will have coming up that our good work is referenced, and that we continue to build on that good work that is happening now through stability in our workforce. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to ask a question at this point? No? Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. And now new to the next one, which is Councillor Boyle.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to take a few minutes to highlight the great and vital work carried out by the Trading Standards team here in Tameside. I feel that sometimes we all don't know exactly what they do, and they do so much, and I think it's worth profiling them. Their role is central to protecting consumers and ensuring businesses operate fairly and legally. The team covers a wide range of regulatory areas, from illicit tobacco and vapes to product safety, food standards, rogue traders, underage sales, doorstep crime and animal welfare. With only 2 officers and 3 apprentices, I think that their impact is really impressive. In the last year, we've had 11 prosecutions that were brought to court, including multiple cases involving illicit vapes and one concerning a trade person lack of professional diligence. These prosecutions help uphold standards and deter illegal activity in Tameside. Tameside operates the Buy with Confidence scheme, which is a national register of trading standards approved businesses. Currently, we have 71 vetted and monitored businesses in Tameside which are part of this initiative, promoting trust and transparency within the community. Food safety is another major focus of our Trading Standards officers. Officers ensure compliance with allergen labelling, use-by dates and traceability. The new Food Standards delivery model has improved inspection timings, and our Trading Standards team works closely with environmental health to ensure that food businesses are safe and compliant. Trading Standards still uphold traditional responsibilities like checking weighing instruments, for example petrol stations, to ensure that pumps dispense accurate fuel quantities. Scams and frauds are rising nationally, and the team collaborates with Greater Manchester Police and Community Safety to raise public awareness. They also investigate unsafe consumer goods, recently inspecting items like gas cookers and pushchairs that failed safety standards, again protecting our communities. They're also involved in enforcing animal welfare laws across farms, markets and transport. They manage disease outbreaks and combat illegal breeding and pet imports. In the past year, we've had 4 joint operations with police that led to the seizure of 263,000 illicit cigarettes, 65 kilos of tobacco.
Thank you. Councillor Boyle, I'm going to have to stop you there, I'm afraid, because you've got 2 questions at least to answer. I've received, as I said, 2 questions from your portfolio. The first one, can I ask Councillor Patel to ask your question?
What performance indicators are used to measure success in Trading Standards?
Thank you, Councillor Patel. Trading Standards is not just about enforcement. It's about protecting our residents, supporting our businesses and ensuring fairness in the marketplace. At Tameside Council, we take a strategic, data-driven approach to ensure our Trading Standards service delivers real impact in our communities. We measure performance in many, many different ways. Compliance rates from inspections. This is the percentage of businesses found to be compliant with the relevant legislation. High compliance reflects effective enforcement and successful education of local businesses. We have 419 businesses which have been compliant on the first inspection this year. Consumer product safety sampling is another example where we regularly sample consumer goods to ensure safety standards are met. The performance indicator will be the number of unsafe products identified and removed out of circulation, therefore protecting residents from harm and building trust in our local businesses. We Response and resolution time to complaints and inquiries is monitored on a regular basis, and timely responses are crucial when dealing with potential fraud and unsafe practices. Our customer resolution rates currently stand at 88.6%, which I think is excellent, and this is also regularly benchmarked across the GM authorities. Test purchasing and enforcement actions, especially in areas like age-restricted sales, the number of successful enforcement actions reflects our proactive response to tackling illegal trading. So in the past year, we've had 7 test purchases for knives, where we found 1 confirmed, 36 for illegal tobacco, test purchases, where we actually confirmed 27 sales. We've carried out 2 closure orders on businesses, which have been highly in the press. We've had 6 successful prosecutions, and there are a further 4 prosecution files ready to go to court. We also look at our success by looking at business engagement and support. We measure the number of businesses we support with advice or who are participating in our Buy with Confidence scheme, which vets local businesses to give us confidence in the businesses that they run. We currently have that standing at 62 members. We do a lot of partnership working, and success in trading standards is also measured by our collaborative working. The number of joint operations we have each year, we've done a really successful one recently with the police and other consultees. It demonstrates our commitment to an integrated service delivery. The latest Operation Avro with police, trading standards, waste and other partners, trading standards officers visited 8 shops and found illegal cigarettes and vapes and seized all of them to a value of 17,000.
Councillor Boyle, I'm going to have to stop you there.
Okay.
You can submit in writing to Councillor Rattel the rest of that answer. We've got Councillor Owen, who submitted a written question.
Yeah.
Councillor Owen. Can I just say, I will allow this question, but you don't need to press your microphone. It will come on when you speak. It's being managed somewhere else. And if you wish to speak, use your hand and not the button, please. Councillor Owen, please. It will change when you speak. Don't worry.
Thank you. Many of you in the room tonight know my mum Joyce, who's now 90 years old. And she doesn't always recognise unsolicited approaches that come in by phone or people on the doorstep. I'd like to ask Councillor Boyle what steps are being taken to protect vulnerable adults like my mum from fraud.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Owen. It's an excellent question. As we're all aware, scams and frauds are becoming increasingly sophisticated, and it's a national problem. It's our duty at Tameside to ensure our most vulnerable adults are protected, not just through enforcement, but through education, empowerment and community support. We do this in many ways. We deliver scam awareness sessions across the borough, reaching many residents, focusing especially on older adults and community groups. We provide sessions that offer practical advice on handling personal data, dealing with cold callers, internet safety and home security. We also give advice on financial abuse awareness. We provide advice and leaflets on protecting the elderly and vulnerable from postal and phone scams, and we also issue personal safety devices to help residents feel safe. We protect our residents with neighbourhood engagement and campaigns in the community regularly, building trust amongst the community and helping us to identify risk early and deliver targeted support where it is most needed. The Buy with Confidence scheme, as I mentioned earlier, is vital in helping to prevent fraud and promoting vetted local businesses and helping to avoid rogue traders and scams in our community. We're very proactive in identifying threats, educating residents and acting swiftly.
30 seconds left.
if fraud is suspected. Partnership working with police, local charities and support services like Age UK to protect vulnerable residents from scams, and we're committed to community safety in the environment.
Thank you. That's the end of that 10-minute session. I am now moving on to the next executive portfolio, which is Councillor Roderick. Please to introduce yours.
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, just 1 second. Councillor Billington, once he's finished speaking, I'll be opening it up, okay? You don't need to interrupt, thank you. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Please continue.
So from Finance and Resources, I want to update members on several areas of my brief. I'll start with our budget planning, which we've started for the next financial year, 25-26. We've had finance officers working with directorates to start the process of identifying the 27 million projected gap savings that we need to make for the next budget. This has all been underpinned by a new monitoring regime, which sets out clearly for members and for officers the savings that need to be made that have been stated in the budget, the progress with those savings, and also the main pressures, so that each budget owner has real ownership of their own budget. And all of this is working towards our new budget, which will, of course, we'll be presenting in February following the usual scrutiny process, and I will also bring updates to this meeting as and when. Hanging over this whole process, we do have the Fair Funding Review, which is the central government review of how it funds local government. We, on initial viewing, seem to be having an improved core spending power off the back of it, but there are still some big questions around how grants are going to be treated, which may end up hurting us more than helping us. But that will all be coming more clear at the end of November, ahead of the announcement of the government settlement at the end of December. But the plan is to have a budget framework in place ahead of that that can then be adjusted as and when we get the actual figures for our settlement. Moving on to digital transformation, which is one of the key planks of our corporate plan. This is all around improving resident experience and providing internal efficiencies. Over the summer, our central call centre and our revenues and benefits call centre have both switched to a new phone system, and this new system includes a self-service option where callers can opt to receive a text that contains a link to one of our website pages where they can do some self-service. This initial data from this system shows that we are successfully reducing the number of dropped calls coming through our call centres, and we will be monitoring and I will report how this project is progressing, but it looks very promising from initial views. The leader has already mentioned Magic Notes, which is the automated transcription software which is being used in adult services and has provided huge time savings, which means that we're freeing up staff for those real quality interactions with those.
Thank you, Councillor Roderick. That's your 3 minutes. You all need to practice a little bit harder.
I do, that's true.
There are no written questions for you, and no Councillor Billington wishes to speak in his portfolio. He had the opportunity to put it in writing, he hasn't done. I'm going to ask Councillor Anne Holland, who's also indicated to speak, if she wishes to speak on this portfolio, which is finance one.
I don't know.
Sorry.
No, it's my light. I don't know about the acoustics in here, Councillor Kitchen. You appear to have a problem with the lighting as well, because it's been on for 20 minutes. It's like an echo chamber, isn't it? I had a question for Councillor Boyle, and I had the light on to ask her, but you chose to ignore it, Councillor Kitchen.
Councillor Holland.
Now we've moved on now, haven't we?
Councillor Holland, I cannot see your light from here. The system that I'm providing,
up on there.
the system that I've got that I had in front of me has broken 3 times. The process is, as you're well aware, that written questions come first there's a total of 7 minutes. We'd finished the 7 minutes, so I could then not open it up to other members. Now we're on the finance brief. Is there anybody else wish to speak besides Councillor Billington on the finance? Councillor Billington.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to comment on the state of the finances in item 6 when I have more time for that. But what I want to say is on the investment on the telephony system, it's using AI, and I have raised concerns about this audit and strategic coordination, that we need to make sure that this is monitored to ensure that people, especially elderly people, are satisfied when speaking on these AI bots. But following on from that investment, can Councillor Roderick justify why Tameside 1 needs a £250,000 refit with less than 6 years of opening? Thank you.
On that question, it's not in this portfolio here. You think you might find it in the Cabinet minutes where you can ask it there, Councillor Milton. Do you want to respond? Other than that last question.
Yes. Just to reassure Councillor Billington that the AI bot has not gone live yet, and that it is still under testing and training, and we are monitoring feedback from customers as we go as well. So we are not currently running AI, but we are looking to in the future when it is ready.
Thank you for that response. I don't think anybody else has indicated to speak, so I'm moving on to the next one, Councillor Feely.
Thank you, Chair. So firstly, under lifelong learning, I'm really pleased to report our formal endorsement from the Department for Education for our SEND strategy and priority improvement plan, which has been fully endorsed by our Parent Carer Forum and has gone through scrutiny. And just a thank you to all the staff and our partners who have worked at pace to achieve this result, and there is obviously now a significant amount of work and we are moving fast to deliver. Within the SEND brief, I'm really delighted that we have again worked at pace to open 8 resource bases offering up to 133 places for our families across Tameside. We're now welcoming expressions of interest for phase 2, and we will report back and give updates, and that will be introduced in September 26. Over to cultural services and the cultural offer. There are so many highlights, I'm just going to pull out a few. We're still getting great visitor numbers at Portland Basin. Over 15,500 people have visited the museum up to now. We have within local studies and archives and libraries, big thank you, well done to our History Forum who launched our Heritage Open Days on the 12th of September at Portland Basin, and I know that many people have really enjoyed accessing tours of our buildings and being able to celebrate our heritage. Summer Reading Challenge for young people. This year the theme was Story Garden, and we had over 1,750 children who signed up for the challenge. So really significant numbers of people engaging. Finally, over to arts and events or arts and engagement with over 4,000 engagement visits over the summer. So we had a whole range of activities. We've had summer theatre performances, 10 performances with 800 people, outdoor events, VJ Day with 1,250 people attending, and I think it's always worth mentioning our Arts Award programme, which has worked with 357 young children. finally, just to mention our Remembrance Sunday events in November. This year marks the 80th year since the end of World War II.
Thank you. 1 second over. Councillor Feely, we have one written question. No, we don't, sorry. We have no written questions for you, so I'm going to open it up to the floor. Does anybody wish to speak? Don't press your button because I cannot see it and I don't know which side has been pressed either. Okay? No, thank you very much. I'll now move on to the next one, which is Councillor Homer. To speak.
Thanks, Chair. Over a 6-month period, we looked at the data, we listened to people's views, we engaged with many groups such as Ashton Town Teams, Daily Bridge Delivery Group, the Hyde Accelerator Partnership. We had helpful conversations with my shadow portfolio holder, Councillor Chadwick, and Councillor Sweeten and his scrutiny panel. We weighed up all the evidence which resulted in 17 recommendations, the most eye-catching being the 2 hours free parking before 6 p.m. on a Monday through to Saturday. Latest data shows an increase of over 50% in car park usage since the new tariffs came into effect. July and August both saw over 115,000 parking episodes. Prior to the new tariffs, the average was below 75,000 a month. Traders are saying that they are busier and have seen a bigger difference. Pearson's, Williams, Redmond's, Sea King in National Indoor Market have all said they're seeing the benefit of the 2 hours free parking. Our offer has even caught the attention of the Federation of Small Businesses, who awarded the council with their prestigious Business Buddy Award, last given out in 2018. The review completed this year was always intended to be the first part of an ongoing programme of change around parking, not least to join up parking and our wider plans around growth, town centres, transport, etc. Another item I would like to share is the draft electric vehicle infrastructure strategy brought forward by Councillor Boyle and myself. That went out to consultation at the beginning of September. If you haven't already, I would encourage everybody to provide feedback via the online portal by the deadline of the 27th of October. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Homer. I have received one question on your portfolio for Councillor Chadwick. Councillor Chadwick.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Homer, for the constructive dialogue that myself and Councillor Dickinson have had with you. And I'm pleased that our 2 3-hour parking policy is working in Tameside. What a shock. So, can the Executive provide ward-level data to confirm that Hyde and Staley Bridge traders are seeing the same benefits as Ashton? Are we tracking all town centres or only highlighting the strongest results? And finally, how will this link to wider regeneration such as EV charging and connectivity, ensuring Tameside residents receive the same attention and resources, and, if possible, a short summary will suffice. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Homer, respond, please.
Thank you. The uplift mentioned in my report is for the whole borough. We have data for each car park, and the percentage increase is the borough-wide one, not just Ashton. Trades are reporting footfall is up, and our towns are getting busier. We have serious entrepreneurs wanting to invest in our town centres. We're seeing new businesses open in our town centres. We want all our town centres to be places people want to live, work, socialise and invest. It's still early days, but we're beginning to see the actions we're taking under Eleanor's leadership are having a positive impact. I know in February you voted against all these improvements, so I don't know where you get the idea that this is your idea. You voted against all these improvements we're bringing when you voted against the budget. You probably now regret that decision, so I say now let's all of us get behind, get out there and big up our town centres.
Thank you, Councillor Homer. Would you ask questions from the floor? I know you've got your hand up. Okay, yes. Councillor Costello. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Let me echo Councillor Chadwick's comments about the success of the Towers free parking as suggested by me and my Conservative colleagues for a number of years now. I've lost count how many years. But I made a speech specifically on it in this chamber in the full council in July 2023, so at least 2 years, and you can check the webcast if you have any doubts, Councillor Homer. Delighted to see the success of it for our towns, for our businesses and for our residents. But can I ask Councillor Homer to help me understand and help small businesses across the borough understand why this council has taken so long to enable these improvements and why small businesses have to suffer for so long despite there being such an obvious and campaign-for solution at hand? Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Homer.
I'm not going to sit here and answer for previous leaderships. I'll answer for what I'm doing and what the leadership are doing now. And now we're on a journey where we're trying to promote our town centres, we're trying to bring investment into our town centres, and that's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Any others? I'm well aware you've raised your hand yet again. Well, I've got to be fair to the entire council with political balance. If there's nobody else indicated, Councillor Billington, please.
Surprise. Councillor Homer, when we vote against the budget, that's against the council tax increase. We don't believe in increasing council tax, and that's what we vote against. We propose individual items all the time, and that doesn't mean that we're against the entire budget, but we're against the idea of charging residents time and again more council tax increases, but I will come to that in item 6. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think there's anybody else. You don't need to respond to that unless you wish to.
I mean, I'm happy to. I mean, at the end of the day, without that council tax increase, we wouldn't have been able to put forward these investments. We wouldn't have been able to do any of the stuff that was in the budget. So, you know, you voted against the increase, you voted against everything that was within the budget. It's as simple as that. You can't have it both ways. You literally can't have your cake and eat it.
Thank you very much for that. That's the end of that item, thank God. And I say that we seem to have fixed one thing, even though you have to hear me twice, with the echo. Thank you all for your patience and the respect you show at each other. But to make it clear, as job as chair, I have to try and balance out the questions between the different political parties. There is 7 main opposition councillors who we agreed they could ask one question against their portfolio, which gives them 9. I've got to be fair to our main independent party as well, and our colleague from Reform as well as the main group, and try and balance that out. That is what is on my IT, so I can see who's asking, which side of this you've pressed, so I know which councillor it is, because normally it's the nearest one to you. Hopefully, that will be better at the next meeting. It will make my job as chair a lot easier. It's difficult enough as it is. Thank you. Agenda item 6 is the meeting of the Executive Cabinet. Can I ask Councillor Wills to move the minutes of the meeting of the Executive Cabinet held on the 30th of July, the 20th of 7th of August and the 24th of September?
Move those minutes, please, Chair. Thank you.
Those seconded.
I'll second those, Chair. Councillor Dickinson, you first, Councillor. Yeah. Sorry?
Are you taking all 3 executive cabinets? Because I'm mentioning...
All 3 together, yes, Councillor Dickinson, yes.
That's right. Item 6, Executive Cabinet, August 27th. I have at previous council meetings expressed my objection to the council ceasing with the Strategic Planning and Capital Monitoring Panel. Strategic planning, I do understand, it was very rarely used, but capital monitoring is a totally different subject, and we have had that committee long before the planning was added. This was an opportunity for members and officers to discuss updates on capital projects as part of a £95 million programme It gave members an opportunity to challenge spend and timelines of a very important part of this council's work. But no, this council decided against that, and the only time we have to debate the matter is within a few minutes of full council. I note the minutes from the Executive Cabinet of the 27th of August, item 11, Capital Monitoring Appendix 3, Service Area Milestones. In respect of the Levelling Up Fund for Ashton, there is little detail of where the money is being spent. All the milestones appear to have been met, but little information on actual progress. Cases commenced construction, given as February 25, but no milestone on the completion. With Ashton Town Hall, there is a milestone of March 25 for heritage assessment and feasibility to be completed, but no information of whether this was completed. There is a sum of £91,000 for this in the current year, but nothing spent to date. So maybe the executive member can now give us that information, which leads me on to another point. I noticed September 24 exec cabinet meeting. There is no capital monitoring report, so I asked the interim 151 officer, who did tell me that capital monitoring reports were only going to be going to cabinet meetings every 3 months, which means they will only be coming to council every 3 months. Instead, cabinet members will have monthly meetings with the officers, so not jointly, but each one on their own budget, which is neither open nor transparent, something that the leader and the cabinet pride themselves on. They talk about openness and transparency all the time. Opposition and backbench councillors will only have a monitoring paper every 3 months to discuss the state of finances, and a lot can happen in 3 months with only the cabinet member having knowledge, again, that can't be transparent. Maybe someone can tell me what kind of organisation with over 300 million of expenditure, a massive overspend, saving targets not being met, and the executive jointly do not discuss the financial position in their monthly meetings, but wait for a 3-monthly meeting. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. I'm going to do things slightly different this time because my IT system is not working. I'm going to take one at a time, so you're going to have to bear with me. Councillor Wills, are you responding to that and one of your executive?
There we go. Sorry. I don't mind responding in part, and then I'll hand over to Councillor Roderick, whose executive portfolio covers a lot of the question that Doreen's asked. What I would say, as a new strategic leadership team, we've built in a more robust, transparent scrutiny process, which allows for quick decisions, lots of oversight, as also through our audit scrutiny panel. I do know that Councillor Dickinson is afforded time with our director, our assistant director rather of finance, and I would say in terms of processes and oversight, she is afforded, as are all members, well actually probably more than members, lots of input and oversight into the mechanisms that capital monitoring covers. But I will hand over to Councillor Roderick to answer specific detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. I just have to say that I do not recognise your characterisation of the circumstances. I think, as the Leader has set out, you do receive briefings. I receive briefings. The strategic planning and capital management meeting was basically a meeting of the cabinet of the 3 main cabinet members and yourself. It wasn't really a format for producing great oversight of the process. We now have a system where the new scrutiny panel gets to examine our capital programme, and that provides a truly cross-party ability to scrutinise that with the support of officers, of scrutiny officers. So that provides a much more robust process of oversight of our capital spending. In terms of the specifics, if you would like to submit a written question, I'm quite happy to get you a response on the specifics. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Dickinson, did you want to come back? Yes.
When you say it's more open now because we have meetings, it might be more open for me. It's not more open for all the people in here. When it was on an agenda and people could look at the agenda, every month there was a capital monitoring programme and you could read it. When we had meetings, those meetings, I know they didn't come, but they were open to the public. Now, it's all behind closed doors. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they are.
Again, sorry, Councillor Dickinson, I just don't recognise that characterisation of our current situation because the scrutiny meetings are open to the public.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Colleen Khan.
And living well. So I want to really pose a question. I am really frustrated because I've been trying to get answers for the last 9 months. Can the council explain why I, as elected ward councillor for St Peter's Ward, have been blocked from the Ashton Neighbourhood Board and replaced by a Labour activist who's not elected by the people of my ward? I made a formal complaint and I was told the independent chair, Phil Brown, chooses the members of the Ashton Town Board, which is the neighbourhood board. The chair was appointed by Angela Rayner. The board is meant to be, no, don't nod. I know, I've seen the papers, let me speak. The board is meant to be community-led, but it looks like a group of Labour friends. It feels wrong, it feels sinister. Local businesses, when I go out to Ashton Town Market and residents tell me decisions are being made behind the doors, not with the people. So whatever Councillor McLaren's saying and Councillor Wills saying is completely the opposite to what people are telling me. You can pull your faces, but this is what they're telling me. At the recent meeting I attended, I was clearly told there was no immediate plans to bring back Ashton swimming baths or the Ashton New Leisure Centre, which you knocked down as a Labour group. Yet Councillor Wills posted a public video in the rain accusing me of lying. This is not true. In my view, Councillor Wills is misleading the public. If the Labour councillors claim there are immediate plans, the public are being misled. Please confirm on the record that there are no immediate plans and there's no funding and no start date to bring back Ashton Baths and the Leisure Centre. When I am being shut out of the why am I being shut out of board discussions that directly affect my ward? I just don't understand it. Why was my request to meet the chief executive refused when I put my complaint in? What kind of democracy blocks an elected councillor, sidelines the community's voice, and then attacks the person who calls it out, which is me? I put this on record. I've not been treated fairly by Tameside Labour Group. I was elected to serve the people of Ashton St Peter's Ward. I will keep holding you all to account and for blocking me as the representation of my ward. Making misleading claims about Ashton Baths. Will you now be honest with the public and explain clearly why am I not allowed to represent St Peter's Ward on the Ashton Neighbourhood Board when this council will bring back Ashton Swimming Baths and the new leisure centre with confirmed plans, funding and a start date?
To do what you just did, that is totally out of order, and you're politicalising somebody who is not here to defend themselves. That's a disgrace. A disgrace. I'm now going to ask Councillor McLaren to answer that point.
Thank you, Chair. Well, the first thing I'd say, I think there was a question in there somewhere, but I was struggling to find it, but I'll try to answer some of the questions that he's raised.
Councillor Khan, do not interrupt this meeting. Everybody sat here and listened to you, whether they agreed with you or not. I expect you to give other people the same respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Well, the mask has really slipped, hasn't it, tonight, in terms of the approach here. But I think if anyone wants to see a rerun of my answer and Councillor Khan, I think probably 2 minutes after it's finished, it will be on his Facebook page. And if we are allowing ourselves the opportunity to talk about intimidation and bullying, I've tried to answer and liaise on Councillor Khan's Facebook page with just plain answers and trying to be polite, and the hate and the bile is off the scale. And I've not really been involved in Facebook. The only thing I know about is scrapbooks, really. I don't really know about Facebook. But I was trying to engage, and I think the mask has truly slipped tonight in front of all the councillors. But let's try to address some of the. I think there was some sort of logic in there somewhere, other than a party political broadcast for the Khalil Khan party. The Ashton Neighbourhoods, it's a non-political body. There's 2 councillors on that body. And that's the deputy leader and the executive member for towns. Now, as soon as I stop becoming the deputy leader and somebody else becomes the deputy leader, or as soon as Councillor Homer stops becoming the town's executive member, then that member will go on it. And I can only endorse what the chair said about the unsolicited attacks on a person's character who they're not there to defend. But again, I think that clearly shows us the mask has slipped. There's other councillors in this room who I don't agree with, but they'll stand up in front of me face to face, whether it's talking about Staley Bridge, whether it's talking about Hattersley, whether it's talking about issues, and they talk to me face to face. But that's not a privilege I've been afforded yet. But that's the first statement I'd make about the Ashton Neighbourhood Plan, and it's fantastic news. Councillor Khan's not the only councillor in Ashton. There's many, many, many other councillors who want to be on that, and they accept it's a non-political body that's there for the whole of Ashton. In terms of moving on to, I think he was making some points about the swimming baths. I think this plugs into the Councillor Khan political party. I mean, he's been offered a number of briefings, and all the way down the line. I mean, I think the Ashton Mayoral Development Zone, there was an open paper in May 2024 that sets out our ambition for Ashton, which goes beyond just a leisure offer. But the leisure offer is incredibly exciting, and that's at its feasibility stage. But this was back in May 2024. And I've got to be honest, the first time I realised that Councillor Khan had an interest in the swimming baths was after we briefed him, along with other councillors, and then he stood outside the office building with a placard saying, "Save Ashton Baths." I think what this relates to is if there's a bandwagon, I think Councillor Khan loves to jump on it, and this is an example of what he's done tonight. I mean, I wish him well, but I think the election campaign's clearly started tonight. So, I mean, I'm more than happy to take any of the questions from anyone on this, or if any of my colleagues have got anything to offer, that's great. Well, thank you for the opportunity to answer.
Thank you. Did you want to comment, Councillor?
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to be quite plain and candid with regards to our intentions as a local authority to build in a leisure offer in Ashton. It's absolutely the intention of this leadership to prioritise the health inequalities that we've got. I don't shy away from the fact that we've got some stark inequalities across our local authority, and Ashton is our principal town. I think you've seen over the last 12 months how ambitious we are for Ashton. We've started the Market Square, that will be delivered. We've put forward plans for Ashton Town Hall, that will be delivered. We've brought forward, with the support of Mayor Andy Burnham, our ambitious plans for a mayoral development corporation, transport-led, that will be delivered, and so will a health and leisure offer for the residents of Ashton. And as I say, that is the commitment of this Labour Council. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I know there's a... I know there's a number of councillors already indicated to speak, but to try and balance you will all be allowed to speak, don't get me wrong. Is there any councillors wishing to speak now that haven't already indicated? I've got you. Yes or no? I've got you all. Councillor Hotwood, do you wish to speak? Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to point out, I heard the word ambition used quite a lot there. And ambition really is a word that you use that you'd like to achieve. It doesn't necessarily mean that you will achieve it. I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Councillor Wells.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to respond to Councillor Hotwood. We back up our promises of ambition with tangible results, specifically for him, I suppose, as a new first time speaking in full council representative for Longdale. We've just spoken about our government's investment in Pride in Place for his ward. That's a commitment of £2 million worth of investment in Longdale Hattersley over the course of the next 10 years. So it's more than just words. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'm going to take Councillor Corbett.
Thank you, Chair. This is for exec minutes of the 27th of August, item 32, Greater Manchester Combined Authority and Homes England Revenue Funding. This council may welcome grant funding from GMCA and Homes England, but I cannot support a direction of travel that uses public money to drive forward Greenbelt development at Godley Green. Our green spaces are a vital part of Tameside's identity and should not be treated as a quick fix for housing targets. I want to see investment focused on brownfield regeneration, reviving town centres and protecting the environment for future generations. The council must prove that this funding will deliver real benefits for our residents, not just consultants' reports and irreversible damage to our green belt. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mills.
Thank you, Chair. I will invite Councillor McLaren to also respond to some of the points made by Councillor Colburn. But can I just say, we as a local authority have got a housing crisis. We've got over 6,000 people currently on a waiting list for social housing with one of our registered providers. We've got 1,500 people currently declared homeless. There is an absolute need for housing in this local authority, and I certainly am not gifting back to GMCA an offer of support that brings housing support, good quality housing to this local authority. Within the plans of Godley Green, I think there is certainly some myth busting that we need to do. This is a planned development that will provide 2,150 homes, much needed homes in this local authority. Currently, within that green space, 1% of it is accessible to the public. Under the Godley Green development, 43% of that green space will become accessible to the public. All of the protected species will remain protected. The forest will be preserved. The streams will still run. But broader than that, a development of this size looks at our housing need and builds in 26% of what we need. 26%. Wrapped around that will be infrastructure, school, health, transport links with a bridge over to the train station. So I ask, what local authority, what councillor in this room cannot support sufficient housing for our residents? It is my view that they deserve it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Tilbrook.
Acknowledge the good work that's been done in children's services over the last few months, particularly with the senior leadership putting a permanent workforce in place. However, 4 out of 10 children are still experiencing 3 or more changes of social workers within a 12-month period. That is just not good enough for our children. Other than reducing the agency workforce, what are we doing as a council to reduce that so that children can have one social worker to help them through whatever needs they've got? Thank you.
Thank you. Is the response? Carry it.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Chobrook. You are right with what you're saying about the number of changes of social worker. You know that, of course, partly because of the meaningful measures that are brought to scrutiny panel, of which you're the Vice Chair. Obviously, the biggest way forward for us is to increase our number of social workers. And you know, as everybody does in this room, that has been an immense challenge for us. We're not just thinking about the number of social workers, are we? We're thinking about what they provide for our children and young people. So we are about trying to reduce the number of social workers that children have. You know that perfectly well. We've never made that a secret. We're also around permanency planning. It's about what's best for our children. And for some of those children, we know through our work our social workers are doing that the right way forward is things through kinship carers, things like that. But it's going to take time. We've got to accept that. And it's important that, as you say, we recognise that that work is being done. But there isn't a magic wand out there. We can't just put the right number of social workers in at the drop of a hat. It's going to take time. We do continually monitor the changes of social work that children have, and we do try and reduce that as much as possible. And I can say that as we move forward with our reports at scrutiny around our meaningful measures, that you will soon see a big difference. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got 3 further speakers who I'm going to take at once. Councillor Hotwood, you've indicated to speak again. You're only allowed to speak once, which you've already done on this item. Thank you. So I'm going to ask Councillor Chadwick, then I'm going to ask Councillor Billington and then Councillor Dickinson. In that order, please.
Thank you, Chair. I rise on the Godley Green item under Exec Cabinet Minutes, page 19. I've objected to planning applications tied to this scheme and Eighthorn Lane and Bowlaker for around 9 years. I'd like to point out to Councillor Wills that there is a misconception here. The Conservative group, the Save Tameside Greenbelt group, and local residents are not against building houses. It's about building those houses in the right areas. That is the misconception that the Labour group seem to have. I would like to now ask the following. Will the Council publish full consultation responses, not just the summaries? And are infrastructure guarantees legally binding or just aspirational? Because residents deserve transparency, something that has severely lacked in those 9 years, as I mentioned last night, by those affected. And lastly, will Councillor McLaren apologise to those residents who attended last night's Cabinet and the Community meeting for his remarks? Councillor McLaren only changed his tune after I raised my voice to him 3 times that he was being very disingenuous. This is already an emotionally charged subject without him adding more misinformation like some of his previous colleagues have and continue to do so like they have today. Thank you.
Councillor Billington.
Thank you, Chair. And before I start implying what I was going to say, I've got to say that this meeting, there's a lot of gaslighting going on and not a lot of answering of questions from the Cabinet. You know, I asked Councillor McLaren if the houses that are being proposed to be bought by the Council would be for Tameside residents. He wouldn't offer that guarantee. Oh, right, I do apologise then. But then...
Councillor Billington, one thing about asking questions you should be aware is actually listening to the answers instead of talking amongst yourselves.
Right, okay. But then Councillor Roderick states to Councillor Dickinson that he doesn't recognise the state of strategic capital monitoring. Again, that is totally incorrect. And then to describe Khalil Khan as hateful and spreading bile, that's what you said. You did say that. And
Just 1 second. Councillor Billington, that's none of your concern. Okay? You're a member of the Conservative group, you need to ask your questions.
We are all
Look,
on
they're not questions, Councillor Khan.
What I will say is,
Stick to
in
the
Councillor
minutes.
McLaren's response to Councillor Khan, he didn't answer the question on how Atar Wazul was appointed, who is the St Peter's Labour candidate, I believe. So perhaps he can answer that. But what I will say is, and Councillor McLaren has alluded to this, at Staley Bridge, we have all councillors as part of the Regeneration Board, and it works. We all work together for the betterment of Staley Bridge, and I believe that that opportunity should be extended to Councillor Khan for his town as well. But I would like to go on to Executive Cabinet. So the council is setting up a Tameside food partnership, and I'd like to say that I don't really think we should be committing £140,000 on telling people what they should and shouldn't be eating. There's also another £700,000 for social prescribing. Again, this seems like more woke nonsense from the council. The only department not to see a cut in funding was the Public Health Department. And when the council reports a £16 million overspend, and the latest exec cabinet says we have an £8.4 million pressure on the budget, it's really not necessary to be throwing money away like this. Because when I speak to people on doors, they don't say to me, we need more officers finger wagging at us, telling us what we can and can't eat. No, they want pothole sorting, they want clean streets. They're the priorities of people, the bread and butter of this council. But Councillor Roderick stated that the council is preparing for the budget in his previous update. Should Tameside residents start saving for a council tax increase now, like they've had to endure for year on year under this council? So on Councillor McLaren, and we did say that, I would say this before, on implementing an Article 4 directive, again, the Conservative group have been raising this for years. And we have because myself, Councillor Dickinson and Councillor Tilbrook, when there's been an application for a HMO in Staley Bridge South, we've been asking for this council to implement Article 4, and it's gone ignored time and time again. You're only reacting to it now because you're worried about your impending electoral defeat. It's not going to be a Labour council for long, I don't believe. And the leader of the council may say that things have changed, we're under new leadership, but she was part of the cabinet since Councillor Brenda Warrington. She's agreed with every single decision and supported it. She has been part and parcel of the bad decision making of this council. So when I see the Labour group copy Conservative proposals like free parking that we suggested, the Article 4 directive, so I'm wondering, are the Labour group in the next budget going to copy us and say we're going to freeze council tax as well next year to try and save the bacon? I don't think I'll be holding my breath on that one, but I'll open that to Councillor McLaren to respond to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Billington. Councillor Dickinson.
Hang on, I've lost it. It's exec minutes, item 32, when Councillor Wills was talking about Godley Garden Green Village, and we're desperate for houses. We are desperate for social housing. We are not desperate. I couldn't afford one of the houses going up in Godley Green, and I doubt many of these councils. Unless you've got one to sell, there will be executive homes, you've no doubt about that. But while I'm up, can I just bring, it's only just come to me, and it's a point, I don't know who covers planning. Right, so I just want, this is not the council's fault at all, but it's something I've noticed in planning meetings for the last few weeks. Developers are putting plans in 2 years ago, 12 months ago, and they say 15% social housing. They're coming back now and saying they've had the banks and everything else, and they want to take the social housing out, they just can't afford it. They then satisfy our planning officers who work on you know, guidelines and whatever, that no, they can't afford it. And it's happening. It's happened for the last 3 months I've been in. So I want you to be aware, and I want you to, something, it has to be discussed. Because social housing is desperate, absolutely desperate. That's the waiting list. And yet these people, these developers are coming back and saying, well, we'll have to take the social housing out. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I am going to take one more. I said that was it. But I'm going to take Councillor Sweeten.
Thanks, Joe. I think we should start putting credit where credit's due here. This has been spoken about for a long time, various things you've mentioned. Councillor Wills has been in 8 months. During that time, we have an Article 4, not in specific areas, street by street, but borough-wide. Now, I was very determined when I was given the scrutiny chair of place that this was going to be one of our priorities. It was, Liam. It was going to be one of our priorities. I didn't know at that time that Councillor McLaren also had a very, very similar view of this. And for a couple of months, we were both doing our own thing. And then we came together, but absolutely, we've nailed this. With the second authority, as you know, you'll know all this, in Greater Manchester that's got this. Now, what I want to do, also, to tag on to this, is show the power of scrutiny. In this authority, today, the power of scrutiny is unbelievable. And I want to encourage all members of all parties, independents, that this is your chance, these are your opportunities to shape the direction of this borough. Please engage. There are 2 things that have been said tonight that's the power of scrutiny. One is the HMO business that we're all very concerned about, and the other one is the empty home strategy. I know Councillor McLaren's got a slightly different name to it, but we only had to mention this going on our work programme, and we've got results. Again, Andrew was working on this as well, but they're key to this borough. Bring empty homes back in and get HMOs in the position that we can control them as well. And I'd like to thank all our scrutiny staff and my members for everything they have done to this. And that includes you as well. Okay, thank you very much.
I know other members have indicated to speak, but I am now wrapping this up, and I'll ask Councillor Wills as leader to start summing up, and if she wishes to invite Councillor Claren in to answer specific questions, you may do so.
A few points directed at Councillor McLaren and a couple directed at Councillor Sharif. I think there's definitely an element of gaslighting going on today, and I suppose for me it's refreshing to see that it's not in the kangaroo court of social media for a change, so I have a direct right for reply. Staley Bridge Project Board, I'm afraid Councillor Billington will have to agree to disagree, because the decisions and determinations that have come out of that board, i.e. the closure of a road that was determined by the members on that board, I had to go in and undo, despite the gaslighting that he did with local businesses about where that decision sat. So I have to agree to disagree about how productive it is and how people work together, because as far as I can see as leader of this group, you continue to work against us, and for the first time you're in a position to make a decision, you quake under public pressure and put it all on me. With regards to Councillor Dickinson's points on Godley Green, I agree, there is absolutely a need for social housing, and this is where you and I work together respectfully as leaders to recognise the need of our local authority. The development for Godley Green will have mixed tenure. It will not just be for executive homes, but we do need to recognise that there is a requirement for diversity of housing offer across Tameside. We want Tameside residents to remain in Tameside and not move outside of it because the housing offer doesn't meet their requirements. That being said, there already is, close partnerships with me as new leader and our social housing providers, and a look at the opportunities that we have. Further developments and information will be shared with this chamber once an agreement has been made and gone through the appropriate governance processes, but that will be in recognition of the social housing crisis that we've got and the relevant amount of need and how this Labour Council will address it. I also just wanted to make reference to the lack of surprise, really, with regards to how flippantly Councillor Billington treats the health and well-being of the residents across Tameside. And remind this chamber, this was a member who felt that every single active Tameside leisure facility be closed down and replaced with the Pure Gym offer. Health inequalities across Tameside lead to wider determinants for our residents across this local authority. And I will allow Councillor Sharif to respond in full with regards. But certainly, specifically, I was at the Baton of Hope just this month, within the last 4 weeks. And the community support that we saw through the Anthony Seddon Fund and other mental health organisations tells us how much they need this council to support the health and well-being of our residents. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Sherry.
I'll just come in also. I am disappointed tonight to hear some of the comments around our health and well-being priorities. For many years now, health, we've got the smallest budget, and yet you pick on health, the smallest budget. We have the biggest health inequalities in Tameside. We've had many cuts, we've endured many cuts over the years. Yes, last year was the first time we didn't have any cuts, and quite rightly so. Our residents need us, they need our services. So very, very disappointed with that comment. Regarding our community navigators, the social prescribing offer that you speak about, our residents need to be connected. They need to go and get the help they require. And as Councillor Wills has just said, we're in the month of hope. We're in the mental health days on the 10th of October. We need to provide our residents with all the help they can get from our voluntary organisations, from statutory services, and we need to be more joined up. And this community navigators that is going to come about will help in so many ways. So absolutely support it and support our residents who need this help. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McLaren.
Yeah, there's a number of things I'd like to speak to, but I won't be repetitive and speak to the things that my colleagues have spoken to. Let's just start with Godley Green and all the rest of it. The meeting was really respectful, and it was really appreciative of Councillor Chadwick and Councillor Colborne and all the rest of it, because they feel passionately about it. And I understand the reservations that people have, and I understand if people have said certain words and certain things. But ultimately, this scheme, and I think Councillor Chadwick's almost agreeing with the principle of it, rather than the quantum maybe, that the reason why Michael Gove, the Secretary of State, who was responsible at the time, the reason why he didn't call it in was because that's a fundamental agreement in principle that the council are on the right lines. And the reason why things like that happen, for instance, I'll give you a silly example of what I mean very briefly. My football team, Everton Football Club, are desperately trying to build a stadium, and it took them 10 years, and their application got called in 3 times. by the Secretary of State because it didn't stand up to the scrutiny of national level and national frameworks. That didn't happen with Godley Green. Now, if I'd given the impression that he'd approved it, I do apologise for that, because that was the wrong word to use. But what the National Conservative government accepted, along with all the other councils in England and Wales, that we have to build more houses, which Councillor Wills has eloquently alluded to and articulated. And I just wanted to sort of end this particular thing I had, because I don't want to wang on too much, is over the next 17 years, if it's approved and all procedural matters pass, what we're looking at is about 150, this is at best endeavour, approximately 150 homes a year for 17 years, if it starts to be subject to the housing market and subject to all those things. Tameside has to provide 550 to 600 a year, right? So the reason why I'm saying that is I don't want the people of Hyde and Godley Green to think in any way that they're being singled out. They're not. I mean, we really have to crack on and start building houses. We really, really do. So that was the point I just wanted to make on that. And I don't really want to make any more because I'm conscious that people want to go home. The other bits and pieces that I wanted to get slightly more political on was, I'm not going to talk about members on the Ashton Neighbourhood Board, because again, they're not here to defend themselves. And I think I've answered that question in my first response. But hang on a second, it's not my decision. It's not. Hang on a second. No, it's not. It's nothing to do with me. It's not. Anyway, moving on, I've answered that question. The one thing I wanted to allude to, this is something I find, I'm quite surprised actually. And I'm going to set a challenge to Reform and the Conservatives here. Councillor Billington has an extraordinary amount of information and interest in the Ashton Neighbourhood Board. Now, he's never shown an interest before, but my challenge is this. If the Conservatives and if Reform are really interested in helping and trying to get people elected into Ashton, my challenge to them is I look forward to seeing a Conservative candidate and a Reform candidate standing in St Peter's ward, because that would be a really interesting dynamic for me if we're after democracy, because my ears pricked up at the interest that's been given to Councillor Carlin's concerns, but I'll just leave it out there. In terms of all the other bits and pieces, if I've not answered them, I apologise, and I'm more than happy to give written answers after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, that's been moved and seconded and debated. I'm just going to ask you now that the minutes of the meeting of the Executive Cabinet held on the 30th of July, 27th of August and the 24th of September 2025 be received, and the recommendations contained in minute 23 of the meeting on 30th of July concerning the Council Tax Support Scheme for 26-27 be approved. All those in favour, please show. Any against? That's carried. Thank you very much. Item 7 is the meeting of the Standards Committee held on the 25th of September 2025. I am in moving them, and in doing so, I don't intend to speak on the whole issue, except to ask members to note that the local resolution concerning a breach of the Code of Conduct is contained within there. Is that seconded? Thank you. Any questions or comments? All in favour of receiving those minutes? Thank you. I'll now go on to agenda item 8, which is the Democratic Process Working Group. I'm going to move that the minutes of the meeting of the Democratic Process Working Group held on the 22nd of September 2025 be received. Are those seconded? Any questions, comments on those? No, you're all happy to receive them. Thank you. Agenda item 9, Contract Procedure Rules. Councillor Roderick.
Thank you, Chair. This is a basic updating of our procedural rules to bring them in line with the latest legislation on contract procedure for local governments. The essence of it is that it is giving greater weight to social value in terms of our procurement procedures, and also updating the language within our own procedures that so that it's in line with the new legislation. And this is also going to be mirrored within the procurement handbook that we get from Star Procurement.
Thank you. Is that seconded? Yeah, thank you. Any questions or comments on that report? No? Are you all happy to receive that? Thank you. I'll now go to agenda item 10, so not one of mine, you probably be hearing me now. Agenda item time is the Essential Learning Programme for elected members. When we set out originally the full programme and listened to you as elected members, you was quite happy to have face-to-face ones. There was a request to also have them by Teams, which we've agreed to. And we've got also, this is proposing that we do some e-learning. We're using the LGA workbooks. That will be completed by yourselves at your own leisure. Some of it is mandatory, some of it is not. So you will be given the opportunity to do that. Full training will be given on how to access and do this particular training. Is that seconded? Thank you. Councillor Billington.
When this agenda item was put up, people said to me, Liam, we think that a lot of this is aimed at you, given your misgrievances over time, you know, around equality and diversity and unconscious bias. But I will confirm today, the sexual harassment training is not me. I have never sexually harassed an employee. That is someone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chadwick.
I want to speak plainly about member development and the proposed unconscious bias training, which is ultimately diversity, equality and inclusion, or DEI. I admit I already pick and choose the members' training that I attend if I feel it will benefit me in my role, but I want to make it clear that I will not sit through a module that treats me as a problem to be corrected because I'm a white man. That framing isn't inclusive, it's divisive. It ignores lived experience and undermines those of us who spent years advocating for dignity, safeguarding and equality. I'm a stepfather of a black daughter. I don't need a module to tell me what respect looks like. I've lived it and I won't be boxed by something that reduces everything to skin colour. DEI, as it's being pushed, lowers standards. And with lower standards, you get mediocrity. This council does not need more mediocrity. To quote a recently murdered activist, can you name me one law that I, as a white man, can do in Great Britain that a person of colour can't? The truth is, there isn't one, because the 2010 Equality Act already protects people from discrimination based on race or skin colour. What am I being asked to apologise for in the unconscious bias module? My white existence, my white principles, or my refusal to play along as a white man? If we're serious about inclusion, then let's build in compulsory anti-Semitism training that shows real understanding. This will include how anti-Semitism can appear through rhetoric about Israel and Zionism. Unfortunately, we see British Jews who are made to feel unsafe or murdered on the holiest day on their calendar, Yom Kippur, all because of foreign conflicts that they didn't cause. Today also marks 2 years since 1,200 Israelis were murdered and over 230 were kidnapped, and approximately 25 are still held hostage. And to end, I mean, what did you think was going to happen when the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, recognised Palestine as a state? All it did was embolden those who hate Jews and support Hamas. Labour under Corbyn enabled the far left and Islamic extremists to berate, attack and ultimately murder British Jews on our streets. Shameful.
Councillor Hopwood.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to echo Councillor Chadwick's comments there. I too don't believe that I would like to undergo any kind of DEI training and would actively work against that. I'm 58 years old and I don't really need to go on a course to tell me how to deal with people and treat people in a direct manner. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you very, very much for politicising a programme that's open to all members and all colours, all creeds, all religion. I don't think you've actually done yourself any favours with your electorate in your ward, all of your ward. You've done yourself any favour. You will be judged, all of us, on our actions and our training, which you've all signed up to. Whether you do the training or not, that's entirely up to yourselves. You cannot be forced to do any training, but you have signed up to it. All councillors do throughout the country. And to politicise some little bits of it for your own personal egos is absolutely disgraceful in my view. It's been moved, seconded. Are we all in agreement to accept the e-learning programme? Those against? Thank you. One against. The learning programme that we have introduced was made mandatory. Most of it was agreed by all political parties. We're now going to agenda item 11, appointments to various bodies. It's a standard item. There will be an item coming to the December meeting to reflect any changes in the political balance, and that will be presented to you for discussion, because there has been some movement backwards and forwards, and I've no doubt with a particular section of the council going along with their close colleagues, the number of changes throughout the country, whether they're still here as the same party or not, at the next meeting will be very debatable. So that's that item. Item 12, there is no urgent items. I'd like to thank you all for your attendance.